Ryan's fixing something. I don't know what he's doing.
No worries.
Oh, there's plenty of worries.
Well, Andrew, if you must know, basically, I have to disable my blue snowball microphone every time I want to play Call of Duty video games to use my headset microphone, because currently Call of Duty Warzone has no setting where you get to choose your audio input device. So I have to disable all other microphones except for the one in my headset when I'm not recording this podcast and this podcast only. And I simply forgot to re-enable it and started recording in Audacity using my headset mic like a noob.
Well, that's unacceptable.
Call of Duty doesn't let you choose your audio input?
It's pretty embarrassing.
0 out of 10.
We live in a society.
Parts of that game cost $60.
Yeah?
Not the part we play, but parts.
Yeah.
Other parts.
Between that and you being so good at the game, you phase in and out of reality. What's going on?
You know, life.
Did anything in particular happen while you were playing to make... God, what even was that glitch? Was that textures not loading in, or...
Oh. Yeah, that was... I don't know. I mean, it was after a win.
Ah.
But, I mean, the game's completely broken. Like, people have established this.
COD's trying to keep Ryan down. He won, and they're like, all right, he's had it too good for too long. Time to knock him down a peg.
Well, you joke, but that is literally what they do with skill-based matchmaking. Like, they literally, if you win, they get mad and want to knock you down and, like, put you in a higher tier of skill. And then you get fucking bitch slapped. It's great.
That's why you need to play with Andrew and I at least once a week, because then we'll lose, and then, you know, you stay in matches where you can be a god.
We really don't know how team-based matchmaking works. For all I know, me being in the lobby with you guys makes you guys have to play the sweats as well.
Ah.
Which is even less fun because you guys don't play it as competitively and you're a little bit more casual. So playing against people who are sweating it out 8 hours a day, like, not exactly fun.
Casual? What's casual about 4 trucks rolling through the map in V formation?
Not a lot.
It's terrifying.
It is a little terrifying.
Like a pride of lions stalking elk, except the lions are trucks and the elk are other players.
Right.
And we're going to have other half-baked metaphors coming to you in episode 95 of the Voluntary Viewing podcast.
Oh, do a metaphor-styled intro. On this podcast, we have a man who is as good at Call of Duty as he is at Texas Hold'em, Ryan Holtz. I guess that's a metaphor?
That's not a metaphor.
It's kind of a description.
Also on the podcast, we have a man who is anecdotally awesome, Andrew Clark.
That's absolutely not a metaphor.
Not even close.
You just used a word.
And rounding out the podcast, we got your main man for similes, Lucas DeRuyter.
Neither of those were similes either.
Yeah, they weren't similes, and similes aren't metaphors.
All right, you guys come up with some metaphors on the spot.
On this podcast, we have the man who once... Or no. Yeah. It's not easy, I guess. Andrew, go.
On this podcast, we've got a man who, when he loses COD Warzone, is boiling mad.
Huh?
I guess.
Ryan Holtz. And we've also got... Fuck. I'm looking through a website with examples of metaphors. None of them fit.
Is boiling mad? I think that's just an
I don't
adjective.
think it is. It was the first one on there. I don't think it's...
I think it needs to be a fake thing, right? You need to compare it to something that's not real.
No, comparisons aren't metaphors.
Well, no, like you have to say like something is something that it is not. Like it is literally not. Like, oh, the lake was so calm, it was a mirror. And it's like, it's not a mirror. Or
It's like looking in a mirror.
so you can't say like, because like becomes a simile. So you have to say like, oh, I mean, once again, I'm just reading examples. Her long hair was a flowing golden river. It's just like, no, it's literally not, but metaphorically it is.
My rage at losing poker last night is a festering wound that continues to bubble over.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a real one.
Probably worked better if I was actually mad about losing poker.
I mean, the fact that you and Michael split the pot last week was like, all right, so these guys definitely just aren't wired the same as me, are they? So
Do not have a great late game strat, I'll admit that.
I don't think it's late game. I think it's more just you guys were like, I don't know, we're not as competitive as you. And I was just like, well, what's the point of calling a tie?
You don't have to play poker with like one winner, though. A lot of people don't.
No, you definitely don't, but I feel like you need to have some sort of preordained
That's fair.
deadline or something if you're going to play that way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Versus
maybe
the two.
you're at the casino, you're at the table, and you're like, wow, it's 3 a.m, and I'm doing pretty well, and I think I'm just going to call it here, guys.
Casino's different
Yeah.
from a house game, though. A house game with friends, I feel like you either have like a set time where like, all right, time's up, now we all take home whatever money we have left, or you say tournament style. You don't like, play tournament style for the entire time and then have the two people who are left shake hands and be like, all right, I respect you, and just walk away. I don't know. It's un-American.
If you're not swearing at someone and threatening to kill their family because they took all your money in poker, then what's even the point?
If for anyone it is their last $5 that they're betting on this poker game, we need to stage an intervention. They're like, this is a quick way to turn $5 into $30. It's like, no, bad.
I was going to say, hey, Ryan, can I have that $10 back that I lost? I really need it. I'll use it to triple my money.
Yeah, no, I would do it.
So that I'll have $30.
I would give you all of my winning. That'd be really depressing.
If I was just flat broke.
Yeah. And then I'd be like, how did you upgrade your apartment? You're paying more in rent and you're completely broke.
Appearances are important, Ryan.
Yeah.
And Jade's like, Andrew, we're not going to be able to buy food this month.
Yeah.
You're living completely outside your means. Like, that's why you only had the one map in that entire room. You have no decorations, no furniture.
And also, it's like, it's living outside your means, but not like living lavishly. It's like still like a super cheap apartment and like buying cheap food and not spending a lot of money. And you're like, wow, I'm living way outside my means because I have no money.
Yeah.
Gotta spend money to make money.
It's easy to live outside your means when you have no means.
You gotta lose money to make money.
And we are going to let loose with a bunch of news in the News of the Week segment. Loose. I feel like that one worked.
Let loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2 has a release date again. It'll be out June 19th. Maybe. Because, boy, it's been delayed so many times. Does this even mean anything anymore? And also, footage was leaked online from the game that supposedly spoils most major plot points in the title. The leaker was rumored to be a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee, but that has since been more or less debunked.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so hard to avoid spoilers while I wait for the PS5 so I can play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I have not come across any spoilers about the game, although I've avoided searching or looking at anything related to it since the leaks happened.
Sure.
But I imagine once the game is out, it's going to be pretty hard for you.
Exactly. There was a small part of me that was hoping it would just be delayed and then be a launch title on PS5.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when they said it was going to be delayed indefinitely, like I pre-ordered it on Amazon a while ago, back before the original release date was even announced, and then that was delayed, and then that was delayed, and then that was delayed indefinitely. And it said, I think it still might say it, December 31st, 2020, like this may not come out ever type of thing.
Damn.
So I was kind of thinking like, oh, it might just wait for the PS5, but nope. I guess they're just pushing it back like 5 weeks or something.
Yeah, not much of a delay at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I get the feeling that they were not ever going to anticipate releasing it this early, and then all the leaks happened. They're like, we need to get this out as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, like some of these pre-orders are making me nervous, like the PS5. Like they were supposed to start taking pre-orders for that in March, and it is now like not even the beginning of May. It's, a couple days into May, and there hasn't been any news whatsoever. Like I've signed up to I think 2 or 3 websites for those newsletters where they're like, we'll email you as soon as pre-orders are available. Nothing at all.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I think that they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do, because there's a non-zero chance that that the fucking PS5 gets delayed, which is kind of unheard of, but with everything going on, it wouldn't be that surprising. And like the idea here is that as long as Xbox doesn't delay their launch, PlayStation won't either. But if Xbox delays their launch, then all bets are off.
Yeah. And isn't it a game of chicken where neither of them wants to be the first, because then the other one could jump them and get a huge head start? So they're both just going to hold that release date until it's completely untenable.
Exactly. So, that might be months from now. The point where it's supposed to release already, and they're like, we're going to put it back a month. Like, who knows?
Do you need a price point before you're able to start taking, why am I forgetting the term? Before you're pre-purchasing? Pre-ordering, yeah.
I feel like no.
Okay.
Because you don't put any money down with the pre-order, do you?
No, but I would imagine that they would put it out there because I think that they would probably not want people to rescind their pre-orders if the price is higher. I don't know. But at the same time, something that may be delaying the pre-order system here, like them announcing when it's actually going to launch and opening up pre-orders, is if there is going to be like PlayStation console scarcity, the way that they're talking about, they might not want people to pre-order all that much, because then you're going to have a huge backlog of pre-orders, and they're trying to pump these things out as fast as they can when they don't have the means to do so. Because it's really expensive for them to produce it and ship it, apparently. So,
well, they wouldn't be shipping them, right? They would be in-store pickup for pre-orders.
I feel like they would do both, right? Don't you think they'd be able to ship pre-orders?
No? I kind of don't. I don't think that they would.
No.
I feel like every game and console that I've pre-ordered, it's been you pick it up at the place.
What I'm thinking here is that they might not have pre-orders open yet because they don't know how much they're going to reasonably be able to fulfill immediately. And so if they open it up for pre-orders and so many people, put their names down, and they're only able to get out 2/3 of the consoles, the physical specimens for it, who knows? I really don't know how that works. Because I would assume that, if they knew that they could only produce X amount of consoles, they could just, have pre-orders that will sell out, essentially. But if they don't know how much they're going to be able to produce right now, I can see them not wanting to open that up yet.
So basically you're saying the crux of the issue is on they're not sure how many they're able to physically produce right now. Wouldn't it be beneficial for them to put pre-orders out, but a cap on them and say, yeah, we now have an estimate of how many we can produce. We're going to stop taking pre-orders at whatever that amount is.
Well, that's what I'm saying is if they don't know what that cap is going to be, they can't put a cap on the pre-orders yet. if they're still trying to figure out how much they're reasonably going to be able to push out there, then who knows? And it could be compounded by the fact that they don't really know when it's going to launch, because maybe they're like, okay, if this launches November 13th or something, at this point we think we'll be able to produce between 10 and 15 million. I'm just making up numbers. However, if it gets pushed back to early December, we'd be able to produce 6 million more consoles. I mean, again, I'm just making up numbers where maybe they're just kind of waiting a little bit.
I understand that line of thinking. I think this might more be because both Sony and Microsoft are trying to counter-program each other, because just the way all of this has worked out and the pandemic going on, neither of them had really had a chance to do that, and that's why things are kind of stalling out now, rather than they just don't know, period, how many consoles they're able to. I don't know enough to say for certain.
Also, like, they're not able to hype these consoles up the way that they probably would have otherwise. You know, E3 isn't happening. PlayStation's version of E3 isn't happening. I think you probably saw that, like, Nintendo Directs, like, in June is not going to be happening.
Wait, they canceled the Nintendo Direct?
I don't think they canceled it. I think they said that it's going to be delayed, but they didn't really say anything else about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess if games are just kind of delayed now, then there's no point in announcing stuff if you can't even give a window of when it's going to come out, but all right.
Right. But I mean, like, there obviously people like us are, you know, somewhat clued in to the fact that we know we're going to want a PlayStation, but there's probably a lot of people out there that don't really follow it all that well. We've talked about that before, and if there's not all this shit coming out hyping up all these new games and console features and stuff, people probably aren't as aware or excited as they would have been otherwise.
True. Do we think people are excited for Octopath Traveler coming to Google Stadia?
Here, hold on. I can hear, like, music or someone talking in the background.
Yeah,
Is that...
it's Ian's TV.
Oh, okay.
Is it being picked up? I don't see anything on the waveform.
I can always do noise reduction if need be.
All right. No problem.
He is being very loud, though. I'll text him.
Google Stadia? Remember that?
Lucas, stop trying to make Google Stadia happen. Google Stadia is never going to happen.
Google Stadia needs to stop trying to make Google Stadia happen.
Yeah, fuck, dude. Like, what a failure. And, I mean, who knows what the future holds for Google Stadia? Who knows? I sure don't.
I do.
Like...
Like, come on. We know what's happening at this point.
It's going to go the way of Google Glass and soon to be Google Hangouts.
I mean, they keep saying that. Yeah, they threatened Google Hangouts shutting down for what?
I was going to say...
3 years?
Didn't we have a date, like, 6 months after this podcast ended that was supposed to be the end of Google Hangouts? Or six months after this podcast started.
Okay.
That's true.
I was like, after it ended, whoa. Andrew's seeing the future.
I'm sorry. Google Plus would have been a more apt comparison there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, Google Plus. Fuck, man. What a weird thing.
That was weird.
I used it a little, but no one's on it, you know? The features seemed fine. They seemed like honestly better than Facebook, but no one was on it, so
nobody wants Google to be a social media platform. They're fine with it being the biggest search engine in the world, and also video, apparently.
Is there any companies that we want to be a social media platform? Like, they're such good companies that they deserve social media platform.
I want Whole Foods to be a social media company.
I don't know. All tech companies are shady.
How long until Amazon launches a social media platform?
Never.
I could see Amazon doing like not branded as such, but basically a good citizen or good character score type thing. I'm just going.
Like a China.
Yeah, or that one episode of Community
program.
Yeah.
I mean, but it exists in real life. China has that.
Right, but I'm saying Amazon would try to make that a thing in the United States and then just try to profit off of the idea of popularity.
Oh, you're saying popularity, not like social goodness, quote unquote?
Or Amazon launches a app that lets them monetize clout. But for them.
I mean, isn't that what influencers are?
Yep.
They're monetizing clout right now.
Clout.
And like Patreon.
Oh, that's a good point.
Patreon has literally found a way to make money off of people who have clout.
Yeah.
So, it exists, man. I'm thinking more like you get social rewards for doing quote-unquote social good, like reporting rebels and giving away journalists' locations.
Here's your extra bread.
Yeah, all very positive social things.
And protesting to open your states back up by storming your Capitol building with guns.
Well, only if you're white.
Yeah.
You only get points for that if you're white. Come on now.
So,
otherwise, you're a danger.
Otherwise, we need to pass the first gun control in the United States.
Yep.
When the Black Panthers did it.
yeah.
And everyone was on board.
Yep.
We didn't know black people could also use guns.
I mean, that's why, what was it, Parks and Recreation? I can't remember what show did that, where they were like, I can't believe Americans hate women more than they love guns. But like,
Oh, no, that was BoJack Horseman.
oh, it was BoJack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me of like a Leslie Knope character. It was Diane, so I guess
Yeah.
they have crossovers. But yeah, no, like Americans absolutely hate some things more than they love guns, which is impressive.
On that,
Hate will always be stronger than love. Just put it out there.
Yeah, but sometimes loving guns is as a result of hating something else.
Yeah.
You might love guns so much because you hate
The government.
Yeah.
The police. Minorities.
the police. Yeah.
Your wife.
Is there a lot of crossover between the people that
no,
love
not the
guns
real
and hate the
police. As we've established previously,
Yeah, no,
it's
we've talked about that before. Like, the same, like, Blue Lives Matter people are also the same people that are very, like, anti-gun control and do so for the purpose of shooting cops if they need to.
Yeah. See, but I think that they're thinking more of the G-men, like the boogeymen.
Yep, like
They think that there's like a modern-day American Gestapo that's gonna come round them up and take their guns. They don't think like Officer Bill from down the street is gonna do that.
they think the PC police are a real thing, and yeah,
like ICE for guns, basically, like some government agency that knocks down your door. Ironically, they're probably pretty pro-ICE.
Yeah.
The sweater comes undone pretty quickly once you start pulling at threads. On those cheery notes, what's going on with a ninja game that doesn't actually have ninjas in them?
Assassin's Creed Valhalla was just announced and had a trailer, and it's Assassin's Creed, but Vikings.
Which looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
No, it does. The trailer was awesome.
Assassin's Creed is having a fucking renaissance right now. I know that everyone loved the last installment, and now this one looks fucking cool.
Yeah, no, people loved Origins. People loved Odyssey. I'm sure that this will be a good installment as well. And yeah, like the trailer, much like most Assassin's Creed trailers, it's cool as shit.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they're Vikings.
They just cannot do ninjas. There's no way.
They can't. It doesn't make sense. Like, what if these Vikings were actually secret Muslim ninjas?
Yeah. I mean, isn't that every... What if these British men were actually secret Muslim ninjas?
Yeah, well, what if these Cockney British mob guys were ninjas?
Yeah.
What if this Egyptian pharaoh was a ninja?
Yeah.
What if Spartacus was a ninja?
Do you guys?
Yeah, it kind of did start with like Oh, yeah, an actual, like, more ancient Muslim man was, part of a secret creed of people that kept world order against the Templars and kind of ballooned and got out of control. And then at one point, like, what if all these English sailors that became pirates were
Yeah, what if
ninjas?
Blackbeard was a ninja?
Yeah, Blackbeard, you're right. He was. They did reveal in Black Flag that he was absolutely an assassin. And that was like the historical Blackbeard. Like, they didn't edit anything. Like, you never saw him like swinging through trees like a ninja. He was just Blackbeard who happened to be in the Assassin's Creed. Like,
I think we found the winning formula for these games. What is a cool, vague historical group plus ninjas?
What if Martin Luther King was actually a
Here we go. Oh my god, get Ubisoft on the phone. Get Ubisoft on the phone.
I don't know why that was the first one that came to my head.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Setting the fucking civil rights movements and the Templars are all white supremacists and KKK members.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
Dude, it would be such catharsis killing all the white supremacists as a black guy. And then you find out Martin Luther King is like the Blackbeard of that game, like the real life historical figure who's a member of the Assassins. Oh my god.
Just the best part of the Kingsman movie, but stretched out over a 40-hour game. Here we go.
Dude, man. I'd love that. That would be incredible.
I want them to make an Assassin's Creed game that actually takes place in feudal Japan, except you're not the ninjas.
What would you be?
Like, you're like a sumo wrestler or something. Just like a slow lumbering warrior.
But you're not.
Bashes his way through stuff.
Oh, I was thinking your body would still be a sumo wrestler, but you are still like flying through trees and like
no,
ziplining and stuff like that.
I'm saying that it takes place in feudal Japan and there are ninjas, but you don't do the like cool ninja shit.
Oh, yeah, they're really avoiding it.
Yeah.
They run out of ideas. What about Civil War? Ulysses S. Grant was a secret Muslim ninja.
The Confederates were all Templars.
Yeah. Basically just bad guys equal Templars, good guys equal assassins.
Yeah. I also liked the part in the Valhalla trailer where it's like the British dude basically talking about how shitty Vikings are. And it's like showing you the lives of the Vikings, trying to like paint them as the good guys. They're like, they're godless barbarians, and it shows them practicing their religion, and it's like they will never care for England, and then it's like shows them rebuilding towns and stuff, and it's like they kill indiscriminately, and then it shows them like not kill the women and children. Like, look how good they are, guys. But they're still running through the village slaughtering the men. But they didn't kill that one woman.
Oh, Vikings.
A little bit of whitewashing there.
I feel like Vikings are far enough back that's cool, right? Like you're allowed to.
I mean, yeah,
pretend that
same
Vikings
as, like,
weren't
pirates.
bad guys.
Yeah.
Like if you obviously did a World War II one and you were like, you know what, the Nazis like
were secretly the assassins and the allies were the Templars.
No, we are
not
still
cool.
Like that's
with
going to have
reverberations.
historical ramifications. Yeah, we're dealing with those. No one's like pledging the fact that Vikings are superior and we need to return to our Viking roots. Like we're far enough back that one's chill,
I mean, I think
you can pretend they're cool.
I think some white nationalist groups have kind of made Vikings their guys, their mythology, but that's such a small part of the pie that's not even worth considering.
Yeah,
I think.
but they probably made them their guys because they just took what they wanted and raped and pillaged and all that stuff. Like,
they're like they're strong and white and do what they want.
So they would hate the whitewashed chill Vikings.
They're like, whoa, we would never spare the women and children.
But, like, honestly, I feel like that veil has been lifted. Like, they're not going to pretend that, like, yeah, guys, come on now. We're one of the cool ones. They're going to lean into it pretty hard and be like, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Not a lot going on in TV. Who wants to tackle the batshit stuff going on with Trolls World Tour, of all things?
AMC is going to war. over Trolls World Tour. Ryan, you probably know a little bit more about this than I do, but basic concept here is that Universal released Trolls World Tour without any sort of theatrical release. They decided to put it straight on streaming, which is what movie theaters around the world, especially AMC theaters, which are not doing great, that's what they've all been kind of fearing, that people would just be like, you know what, fuck a theatrical release, we're going to put it all on streaming. And like eventually that is the first domino that leads to like most movies being released on streaming, as well as, you know, possibly simultaneous movie theater releases, but that would just be a fucking nail in the coffin for a lot of these theaters. If people are just like, hey, I don't have to go to the theater to watch this new movie, I'm just gonna watch it on my TV at home. Like that'd be pretty bad for most of these theaters. So AMC said, fuck you, Universal, we're going nuclear, we will not show any of your movies ever again. Unless you want to talk about it. Unless you want to work something out, bud.
Yeah, no, this is a thing that a lot of movie producers have been forced to do. Like basically, it's more of a fact that like financially, it's just a necessity at this point. Like
they made these movies, they spent all this money, they have to put them out there at this point.
Like Trolls World Tour, they probably deficit financed $100 million at least. Like they can't just have that on their books looming large for like a year.
Right.
So like this is the only way that they can recoup some of those costs.
And apparently it broke some streaming records. Like apparently like a lot of people watched it.
Fucking Trolls World Tour, I swear to God. So here's a fun fact. All around LA, none of the billboards have been updated. Because I'm guessing that's not essential. So there's a lot of billboards for Trolls World Tour, which makes it feel like it's like in the apocalypse. Because it'll say like, coming March 10th. And then it's like, oh no, like something's bad has happened. It's like in an apocalypse movie when you see gas prices are like $14.99 and you're like, oh, it got bad before the end. Like that's this movie's having billboards everywhere.
Ironically, I noticed that gas was up to $1.44 in Wisconsin the other day, and thought to myself, "Oh wow,
I should have filled up when it was 99
up.
cents."
Getting pricey. I would have filled up when it was 99 cents just to say, you know, in 40 years when gas is $40 a gallon. Like, one time I paid $1. A single dollary do. Like just...
and you're speaking to your robot companions because nobody else is left.
Or like the virus has completely swept the world and there's no human connection anymore allowed ever.
It's just Death Stranding. Everybody's in their own individual little bunkers.
Yeah.
Talking on hologram.
Exactly.
Did you see the Chinese delivery driver with the exoskeleton and the...
Yeah, holy shit.
That is
just
insane.
1 for 1. Like he was even wearing like this similar weird tinfoil bodysuit.
Yeah. Someone knew it, right? Like whoever designed it was like, yeah. Might as well.
It hasn't okay. The
game hasn't been out for that long.
Yeah, the game's been out less than a year. The tech I'm guessing was like that's been a couple years in the work, but then the aesthetic of it, no, that was absolutely paying homage.
Yeah, just his 6 foot tall stack of crates on his back. His little robot like assist legs. Come on. They're like, oh, and to keep our employees happy and cheerful, we're strapping an AI companion to their chest to keep them grounded.
They'll take us into the other category where the only thing I have to mention is that the Twitch killer might be here.
Yes.
For a second, I thought you meant like the Twitch killer was like a serial killer that like hunted people down through Twitch.
Based on their Twitch. Instead of calling in SWATs, they just murder them live on live stream.
Oh, yeah.
Whew. That could be a thing.
No, this is a new porn site called Nude Gamer, which is just Just a
I
lot.
mean, it is what its name is.
Yep.
Like,
Just people online playing games and various states of undress and lots of sexual innuendo stuff going on.
Yeah, definitely people, right?
Yeah.
Of all creeds. So, like, hell yeah, first of all. Like, this is what I was literally asking for, I'm pretty sure. I was like,
Ryan.
dude, if Twitch is saying no, I will never, ever in a million years go on this website. Like, this is so outside of anything interesting to me. Like, it would never occur to me. But this is what I wanted. Like, I was like, oh, if Twitch isn't going to allow this, that's fine. We should be like respect that and be like, look, that's not cool. They're now open to competition who does allow this. Here we fucking are. Like, this is it, man. Let's go.
This is the end game of like these ideas.
If horny losers want to give money to girls that are exposing themselves for money, this is their paradise. And then Twitch can just be dudes playing video games or chicks playing video games. Like, it's gonna be great. This is ideal. I really want this to take off and become mainstream popular, because this is exactly what it should be.
If ever there were a time for a website of this nature to explode in popularity, it would be during quarantine. Here we go.
Yeah. Seriously, though.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a way also, like, just to dive into the fetish a little here.
Yeah.
Isn't it a way to make the girls, like, attainable almost, you know? Like, the fact that they're
feel
playing
like
video
they're more
games.
real.
Yeah.
Well, not even real, just like more of a loser. You know, stereotypically speaking, you know, like you're thinking like, oh, she probably had a nerdy childhood too, or something like that. You know, like some way to kind of make it more relatable. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
A
lot of dynamics at play here.
Yeah, not all of them great.
I think they're all great. Women, make your fucking money.
Hell yeah.
Men, live your sad fantasies.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Did you guys hear about the mechanic who was fired because like people found her OnlyFans account and like how weird it got?
Wait,
No.
what?
So there was a woman in, I forget where it was, but like she was training to become a master mechanic at like a car dealership, like a Honda dealership or whatever. So she was in like a trade basically, or what's it called? A apprenticeship, something like that. She was working at the car dealership, and she also had an OnlyFans account on the side to like pay for her education, you know, whatever. And then her coworkers at work found her OnlyFans account, like just some of the other mechanics, and then they like all got together and would like watch it. Like they would pay for it and then like watch it at work. And then the bosses caught them at work watching the OnlyFans porn and then fired her because they said, you're distracting, you know, the other employees. They're breaking our rules because you made this OnlyFans account. And plus, now that we know that, you know, they know that you make this content, they're going to sexually harass you for it.
Wait,
So we can't allow that. And like,
that's
and
what
this
them
was,
watching it at work is.
Yeah.
yeah,
They
like,
already had sexually harassed her.
and like this was all recorded. Like she recorded the phone call. Like I remember, like they said in the article, they reached out to the employer, and then like they denied that's what happened. Then they played them the recording of them saying just that. Yeah. So that was pretty good.
They can sue, right? She can definitely sue them.
Oh, yeah.
I would think so.
This is... Okay, yeah, this is ringing some bells now. Yeah, that car dealership, obviously super in the wrong there for a lot of problematic, misogynist ways, but also, yep, that's how this shakes out, unfortunately, in 2020 still. Fuck.
It is really unfortunate, but that is like kind of
that's how
an
it
eventual consequence that there's no real avoiding. Like a lot of times when you do something like that, there's a lot of consequences that I hope you're aware of when you're making that decision, you know?
Yeah.
And like everyone who, like when you bring that up is usually like, yeah, I thought about it long and hard, and like this makes sense for me. Like I'm fine with it. And it's like, you know what?
And
fucking power to you.
I hope I hope the broader societal changes are, you know, in motion right now to make it so that isn't a thing in the future. And if I'm ever in a position of power, I'm going to obviously do not what these assholes did, where they fired her, but unfortunately, we're not there yet, and doesn't seem like we'll be for a while.
There. It feels to me like we'll never get there, because the problem is that 90% of the population is super uncomfortable with that level of invasion of privacy. So, like, it's always going to be weird and fringe for that to happen. And, like, even if it didn't involve gender politics, it would still, like, that person would be ostracized pretty hard, it feels like.
Yeah.
Like, if you change the mechanic shop to a hair salon, like, staffed entirely by women, I feel like there would still be a lot of consequences for something like that if it was found out. Like, I think it absolutely, gender politics are all wrapped up in it, but, like, even if you were to remove them, it would still be a big problem, I imagine.
Almost hypocritically, America is a very Puritan nation, and that's... Yeah.
Well, it is and it isn't, right? Like,
right?
If you posted on your Instagram a bunch of bikini shots and got a lot of followers and then became an Instagram influencer, no one would really look down on you. But the minute it's like an OnlyFans account and, you know, you're wearing a bra, like, it's game over. Like, even if there's no nudity. So it's like you have to sex sells, and then also, like, you slut. Doesn't really work. But it is how it works.
Apparently, with everything going on and, like, so many people losing their jobs or being furloughed or, like, losing hours and stuff like that, apparently, like, the number of people that have set up accounts and began streaming on, like, OnlyFans and, you know, cam sites and that kind of stuff has absolutely skyrocketed. You know, women trying to, like, pull in more money after getting their hours cut or losing their jobs or having to, you know, becoming the only source of income in the household, whatever. And so, like, I'm kind of curious to see what happens in the next couple of months as things kind of go, like, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, go back to normal. And, like, what happens with that? You know, does it kind of break through that barrier and become a little bit more accepted because so many more people are doing it now? Or does it, like, fuck up a lot of people's careers because it's something that they did temporarily to get some money, and then that's always going to be in the background? Or do people just keep doing it? I have no idea.
I've noticed a lot of cosplayers who set up OnlyFans accounts recently, but I always thought that was kind of a natural progression as Patreon and other monetization means become more stringent for borderline content.
I mean, what I'm saying is, like, it's infantilizing, definitely, to be like, oh no, I feel bad for you, like, oh, you've been exploited for that sort of thing, because, like,
right, no, like,
these
it's a
people
decision
have free
they made
will and like have chosen to do this. But at the same time, like, I really hope, at the very least, that they've all considered the very long-term consequences that are possibly being presented by this. You know, like, at the end of the day, like, if you're thinking, oh, this will be a thing that I do for 4 months until the quarantine ends and then I can go back to work and go back to normal and life returns to everything. Like, I really hope that they don't think that necessarily. Like, that could be the end result, you know, like, if no one in your life ever finds anything and you're not really super popular, so you never, you know, get archived by some creepy loser who then, you know, uses it against you, sort of thing, like, then yeah, it could happen. But it feels like, by and large, that's going to be a consequence for, like, a long time.
Unfortunately,
you know? So, yeah, it is what it is, man. Go for it. If you understand that, then absolutely make that money. Hulu.
We're going to talk about somebody else who's trying to make money in the meme corner.
The memes.
So Alex Jones says he's going to eat ass, right? That's the clip that he shared.
It's like, I'll eat your ass. It was just the perfect way that he could have possibly phrased that, which, of course, was preceded by the fact that he was saying that I've already thought about how to kill, string up, gut, skin, field dress, and cook my neighbors to eat them. Like, kind of graphically talking about how he's going to kill his neighbors because he doesn't want to starve. He's like, I got enough food for a while, but my daughters aren't going to starve. I'll kill my neighbors. I'll eat them. I'll eat your ass. It's like perfect. Yeah, so, he did it. He did it.
So, like, this is going to get really morbid, but that is where you start on a human being. So like that's probably where he was coming from, but it is a incredible double entendre, like
Yep.
top 5 double entendres of all time, and I'm not sure if it was intentional. I can't believe that this is the thing that's like really gaining traction from Alex Jones, like of all the insanely outrageous stuff he said. Like,
well, he's said plenty of outrageous stuff that has gotten traction. It's just that there's so much of it, and there's so much other crazy shit being said by other crazy people that are more prominent, that like after a couple of days it just kind of fades away because people are like, oh yeah, this crazy dude on the internet said this thing, but the president 24 hours later said something even crazier.
Yeah.
So
the president said
him.
he's gonna cook Mexico and eat
Yeah.
all of Mexico. Yeah. That's an interesting one. I wonder if his neighbors have heard about it by now.
Yeah, his neighbors start boarding up the windows.
I mean, also like his ex-wife was the one that I think kind of brought it into prominence. So like, what? Like,
Yeah.
his ex-wife seems very head on her shoulders, like understanding of everything. How did that happen? Right? Like,
Well, so here's the thing about Alex Jones, and I'm not going to pretend to try to understand his crazy, fucked up mind, but like, you know, in the court proceedings that followed his wife trying to divorce him because he's a psychopath and taking the kids away because he's a psychopath, he's like, oh no, it's just an act. Like, I feel like he can go back and forth pretty easily, and I'm sure that the stuff he says on InfoWars is to an extent an exaggeration, but still he's saying it. And he
I'm
is
saying,
crazy.
how did that woman be like, yep, this is the man I want to marry and have kids with? Like,
I'm saying that like
Jesus
he probably
Christ.
wasn't always like this, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Is that he was probably always like a nut job who had really bad opinions but probably kept it in check to a degree. And then he got a giant platform that encouraged him to go even more far out. And I think eventually he just kind of ate into his own shit. So like he was already there, and then something happened that allowed him to go full tilt with it. And then his wife's like, okay, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, but when did they get married?
I have no idea.
Because he was well known as a 9/11 truther. That's like where he got his start. So like, I don't know. She didn't divorce him until 2015. He was definitely a thing well before that. So it's just like, what happened there? It's like George Conway and Kellyanne Conway, except for they're still together somehow. It's like, how did this work? How does this not?
Married 2007, divorced 2015.
2007, yeah, that was well after the 9/11 truther stuff.
Yeah,
Oklahoma
that's fair,
City
then.
bombing. He was an Oklahoma City bombing truther. That shows you how far back he goes.
Oh, shit. Okay, well then here's the thing. Maybe his wife isn't nearly as head on her shoulders as she appears to be then. Maybe she's also fucking crazy, but isn't just like the kind of crazy where you spaz out in public and say that the aliens are going to kill us all, like that kind of shit. She might just be a shitty person.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear they're both working a hustle. One of them just happens to be a lot more sympathetic than the other.
I guess. I mean, she stuck with him through probably his most infamous, the 2012 Sandy Hook crisis actors.
Well, we
conspiracy.
don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't know enough to say whether or not they were maybe separated but not legally divorced by that point, or if that was the thing that pushed it over the edge, or what. But yeah.
I suppose.
Alex Jones says he is proud to be listed as a thought criminal against Big Brother in response to people like the Southern Poverty Law Center and New York Magazine describing him as America's leading conspiracy theorist. He's so fucking proud of how much of a bad person he is.
Because he has to be if he wants to keep making money off of this.
Yeah, you kind of have to completely rewire your brain at a certain point.
This is all stuff he's done very willingly, from my understanding of the situation. Like he made the choices that has made him the just fucking Cronenbergian thing he is today.
It's so so like his attorney in the divorce proceedings said he's playing a character, he's a performance artist, and then he went on the show and said, "This is not a character."
He's like, "That's
I
a
am
lie."
not a performance artist. Like, he said, "I'm the most bona fide, hardcore, real McCoy thing there is, and everybody knows it." Like, he literally. I guess that's what the character would say.
Yeah.
Like, the character in theory would definitely say he's not a character, but like, Jesus Christ, man.
He was too far gone to do the Colbert once every, like, maybe twice a year, pull it back for a second and be a real person. Like, he can't do that.
Yeah, but his real person wouldn't be that much better. Like,
no.
Everyone would know his political leanings would still be insanely far right. Like,
yep.
So it really wouldn't be too much better at all. I don't know. Fuck me, man.
Yeah. And with that,
it's time
for the breakouts.
Remake corner.
Yeah. Talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake, how I finished it a little bit during the quarantine cast. Final verdict, good game, great combat system, had a lot of fun with it, but I just hate the way that it does meta content, and it is absolutely at its worst when it is about itself.
So, did you see the producers and like the directors of the game say like, "Hey guys, don't worry, from here on out, it's just going to be Final Fantasy VII story"? Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Well, and also, they're not going to have Dementors fucking flying around and trying to break the fourth wall constantly.
Yeah, then what was the point of them at all? Like, if you're going to do a 5 or 6 part game that is remaking a beloved, game that came out a long time ago, and the whole first part is about fucking up the story intentionally,
right?
And then are the rest of the parts not going to do that? Is just gonna be like normal after that? Because what is the point of that then?
So the remake for some reason felt like it needed a justification for going off of the trajectory of the original game story. And I disagree. You don't need that. For a remake, you can just... so long as you hit the big notes still, you can fucking do whatever you want with it. You don't have to do beat for beat the original game. And nor should you, I think. But the fact that they had to add narrative concepts to justify their other narrative concepts is dumb and too much, in my opinion.
Exactly. But then also at the same time, if the first part ends with them killing these Dementor things that are supposed to be like keeping the storyline more or less in check, they beat those guys, wouldn't that imply that the story after that is going to, branch out continuously and be different than the original? Which, right, to be honest, would be fine if they wanted to do a different story with this framework, fine. But then the people that are making the game are saying, like, no, that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be normal after this.
I assume I'm taking that I'm taking those comments as, it's not going to be as meta anymore.
Okay.
And honestly, good. Like, the game is at its very, very best when it's just exploring the themes and ideas of the original Final Fantasy VII in more depth. Like, the fact that this game takes time to kind of explore this society with just a giant capitalism supercorporation, and how people, like, just by living there and working for that company are so fucking deep in the Kool-Aid of the company's PR bullshit that's just obviously designed to keep society complacent and not rebel against them. It's really good, and I enjoyed that a lot, but then every seemingly half hour while I was playing the game, it had to be, oh, hey, did you know that you were playing a remake? Let me remind you that you were playing a remake. And that was too much. It was very Jim winking at the camera, and I didn't appreciate that.
You gotta love it.
8 out of 10, though, as I shit on it for the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, you kind of did. That was like an IGN review.
Yeah. This game does all of these things wrong. 7.5 out of 10.
I mean, I could go on and on about how the combat's great, how the character designs are terrific. Some of the character, I guess a good chunk of the character writing is just kind of passable, but then some of it's really good, and how this game fundamentally just, it feels like a fan project in the best way in aspects, but that's saying you like something is less engaging than pointing out the faults with it. So that's why this conversation shook out the way it did. Yeah, I'm happy to talk more about that, but what have you guys been checking out?
I'm still trickling in with What We Do in the Shadows.
Did you? I might have been off the podcast when you talked about that. What do you think of it? I've heard like nothing but good things, really.
Yeah, I like it.
Huh.
It's like a solid 8 out of 10 comedy.
Yeah,
it gets me a couple laughs and
Gets
it's
me chuffed.
enjoyable, and I like watching. But it's not like, a Veep or a Barry or like a masterpiece, which is fine. Like, not every show is going to be, and I was pretty desperate, honestly, for a comedy, and I'm glad that it fills the void a little bit.
It's my understanding that the shtick is that these are like Victorian or very like out of touch vampires who are way into their vampire shit, just being out of place in modern times. Does that shtick ever wear thin?
It's not really, honestly. Like, that's my favorite parts. Like, a lot of it's also like they do delve into like vampire drama. Like, there's an episode with a vampire orgy where they're all really nervous about preparing for the vampire orgy because they're like, it's biannual, and if it was triannual, I think we'd all die. Like, it's biannual, and like, if you put on a bad orgy, you're basically shunned. And then like 40% of normal bats are actually vampires who threw a bad orgy and then live as bats 24/7 in shame. Like, we call them shame bats. So then it dives into like the vampire world a lot too, and then there's plenty of moments where they're like, oh, who is this parking lot attendant? I think he's my long lost lover. Like, all that sort of stuff where they're very much not in tune with the real world and everything like that, which is fun. One of them, his name is Nandor. He was an Iranian ruler from like ancient Iran, like 900 AD sort of thing.
Okay.
And then he was made into a vampire, so he's probably my favorite, like, because he's super gentle, even though he's like Nandor the Relentless. Like, he was known for just slaughtering everyone. Like, that was his main trait. And now he's just like kind of this gentle dude that's like, hey, I don't know, like, what's going on? And then one of them was, I can't remember where she was, like a French woman or something like that, but from also like really early, like the 1400s. And then one of them was like an 18th century Englishman. And he's played by an actor that you'll probably recognize. I'm trying to think what I know him from. I already forgot. His name is Laszlo, and he's really funny too. And then Nadia's the woman. Yeah, it's solid. And I think like if you don't like the first couple episodes, then it's probably not for you. It's one of those, have to wait till it gets good. So
okay.
It's good. Oh, okay, yeah, you'll know him from Community, where he played the grifting professor. Laszlo is the 18th century Englishman.
Okay.
So he was also Mr. Deadly on Archer, which does not ring a bell for me.
That one should, but I'm drawing a blank too.
Same.
Yeah. I liked him as the grifting professor. It was a fun-ish episode. So, Mr. Deadly. Oh, season 10, that's why.
Oh God,
I need to catch up with Archer.
I mean, or you could just skip the in space one and start with when he wakes up from the coma. I think that's what I'm going to do if I ever do it.
I feel like I still want to watch the space one just to say that I did. I don't know.
Pam's a rock monster now. What?
Cocaine.
Guys, remember Archer Vice?
Not really, no.
Oh.
It had its moments. What are you checking out, Andrew?
I have still not really been checking out anything in particular. I watched ESPN 8 the Ocho yesterday for a little bit. Watched arm wrestling, cherry spitting, and stone skipping.
Did they make the arm wrestlers wear gloves?
No.
Ooh.
It wasn't live, right?
I know. I don't think it was.
I think it was all pre-recorded stuff.
Because they do the Ocho like once a year. Like maybe twice a year. And I think that they were just like, let's do it now anyway, for no fucking reason.
So
yeah, no, it's all pre-recorded.
I apologize. This is my ignorance. Does ESPN 8 the Ocho come from Dodgeball, or was Dodgeball incorporating? Oh, okay. Okay.
It comes from that.
Yeah, which is it's not a real channel. They just play it on ESPN 2. I think they play it on ESPN 2 like once or twice a year, and like the whole joke is that it's the channel from Dodgeball.
I'm glad that movie that I liked a lot when I was a kid ended up having some real world impact. Okay.
Oh, also fun fact, Nadia was not from France. She was from Romania.
Ah.
If that matters.
No, that is a more vampire-y country.
It is.
Oh.
But she's not the oldest vampire.
Is that the Iranian king?
Yep.
Ah.
And I can't remember what he called it. There's an episode, another example of like a human world intersecting with the vampire world. There's an episode where Nandor gets really sad because he has his DNA sequence. No, that's not the DNA. That's a different one. Basically, they're like, where are you from? He's like, El Canada or whatever, like, a country that doesn't exist anymore. And then they Wikipedia it, and they're like, yeah, no, that ceased to exist in 1401 or something like that. And he gets really depressed because his country's gone that he used to rule over. So then he applies to become an American citizen. And just there's that whole process, which is obviously great and super fish out of water. So... And I think there's a moment in there where, because vampires can hypnotize people, that's like canon in the show. They can hypnotize people to like do things that they want. So then like he tries to hypnotize the government worker into getting his citizenship, and it doesn't work, and he's just like, oh, I forgot, like government workers are already dead on the inside, so they can't be hypnotized. There's a lot of golden, like easy moments that they can do there. So it's a good show. I give a casual recommendation. If you're really desperate for a comedy, you could do much worse.
Just talking about it, you're selling it really well right now.
There you go.
All right. Well,
speaking of recommendations, we're
going to the group chat and talking about anime
for the first time.
And this time, Ryan and Andrew are willingly along for the ride.
All right, gentlemen. I have
this document is insane.
3,
by the way.
I really thought you were just going to like put one out there and say this is what you have to watch. You clearly put a lot of work into this.
This was maybe 15 minutes on a Wednesday evening.
Fuck, dude.
This man's an expert.
This is effortless for him.
Yeah. This is like when my brother and sister were applying to UW-Madison, and I put together like a dorm recommendations chart in like half an hour. They're like, pros, cons, ratings. All right, moving on.
A sitcom level of talent.
Apparently.
All right, gentlemen, I have gathered for you 6 anime titles that I genuinely think you would enjoy if you gave them a chance. I have some pros, some cons, viewing guides, links to sources where you can view it. Should we just dig into it?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, why not?
My first recommendation, the Berserk 1997 series. Prose. It is a fantastic dark fantasy medieval story that explores trauma, identity, relationships, and moral ambiguity very, very well. The cons, it's 90s animation, so it's a little rough, and this series essentially covers the first chapter and then the second story arc of the original comic, and there's no way to get the entirety of that story outside of picking up the comic.
Yeah, I'm gonna veto that one.
Yeah.
But it's all on YouTube.
The animation style is like my biggest hurdle for anime.
That's
so
fair.
The fact that you think the animation is a little rough is gonna already be a veto. And then yeah, like can't get the whole story without reading manga. Like,
Okay.
I think that's not a great entry level one.
Oh, do we have to choose the same one and all watch it together, or are we just each picking one? Or are we watching all of these?
You are not watching all of these.
Okay, thank God.
No, just pick one that you think sounds the most interesting.
Okay.
And the one that inspired all of this because it's super interesting, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Prose, one of the most stylish and genuine anime series ever made. No other series is able to build up and execute on tensions quite like JoJo's. It is fucking... It sells itself so well, just because it is so committed to what's going on. The cons. Most other anime will feel like trope chasing bullshit after watching JoJo's, and it'll ruin a couple of songs, band, musicians, and album names. I have a watch guide here, but honestly, you can probably just start with part 5, and the only thing you really need to know going into part 5 is that a character named Jotaro was the main character in part 3, and that stands, what are kind of famous by the series, are just anthropomorphized psychic powers. That's what they are.
There you go. Here's a question.
Yes.
I know for a lot of other shows, they make summary videos to like catch you up before this new season or new part, whatever. Like,
Yep.
is there like a 20-minute summary that like could maybe get a lot of the major plot points just in case they're necessary?
I promise if you Google what you need to know before you watch JoJo's Part 5, you will get a plethora of results.
All right. I might do that then and start with 5.
Okay. Next up, Samurai Champloo. Prose. Cowboy...
Veto. No.
Nope, okay.
I hate the name. No, I was kidding.
It's Cowboy Bebop by the way of a Kurosawa film instead of Star Wars.
I'm in.
All right.
No, keep going.
The only cons is that the episodes are... the series is pretty episodic. I mean, there are some 2-part episodes, and there's like a general overarching thing, but most episodes... If you're looking for a long-form narrative, this isn't the show for that. And that, well, I think the animation in this is really solid, and the animation style is good. There's also no true HD for it. That's just a result of it being made in, like, I want to say 2003, 2004, where the tech for animation then, there's no great way to really perfectly upscale it. You can watch all of it, except for maybe the wacky gag baseball episode, which I didn't care for all that much. The rest is great. It's also on Hulu, Funimation, Crunchyroll, probably pirated pretty easily online. You can watch it just about anywhere.
Cool.
Then we have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. This is a solid fantasy anime that's generally regarded as one of the best in the medium. Cons, kind of generic in my opinion, and the main character is voiced by noted sex pest Vic Magonia. You can watch every episode except for 27. That's a filler episode. Yeah, I would say this is as close to like the Avatar The Last Airbender of anime, even though that's an anime. Well, I don't think it is stellar. Rarely will you find somebody who has a bad thing to say about this series. It is very, very, very middle ground. Everybody can probably find something to appreciate about it.
Got it. I've definitely heard of that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then we have Dorohedoro, which is like if Quentin Tarantino made a fantasy amnesia mystery show. The only downsides to it, there is no dub or legal way to watch it until May 28th when it comes to Netflix. You can watch all of it, and I have a link to one of the pirate sites in this doc. It's really good. A lot of great world building, and the characters are all sociopathic murderers like in Quentin Tarantino movies. But they all are just really great friends and have a lot of fantastic character dynamics. It's really good.
Sure.
The main character has an alligator head. It's fun.
This is okay.
Okay, so maybe a little more explanation is required. In the world of this show...
Oh, no.
Basically, there is like a kind of close to, not quite utopian, but definitely more like advanced fantasy world. And then where magic is a real thing, everybody has magic that's unique to them, and yeah, it makes life just generally better for everyone there. But then all the pollution and runoff from that world goes to a world called Whole that is just polluting everything, making life super dangerous. And that is where the main character finds himself one day, no recollection how he got there, and no idea why he has a lizard head. And the only thing he can reason out is that, well, Sorcerer, the name of the people who can use magic in this story, probably did this to me. I'm going to hunt down and kill them until I finally found the one that turned me into a lizard man and make him turn me back and get my memories back.
I feel like this is my favorite Lawrence gag from Funhouse, where he would pretend that someone asked a question and then continue to elaborate.
What's Dorohedoro about, you ask?
Wait, what? Is there a canon sequel? No, there isn't. That sort of thing. I can tell that you're really pushing for Dorohedoro, Lucas. I'm not going to lie. That was not
honestly
high upon first glance for me.
Removed from this shtick, I would have recommended this show to you guys anyway once it got a dub and was on Netflix. But yeah, I might
Wait, you watch dubs?
Yeah.
What a fake anime boy.
Wow. Maybe
I was definitely planning on watching these subtitled. Is that bad?
No.
Okay. I really don't like dubs, like in live action at the very least. Obviously, I haven't waded too far in, unless the animation is changed to match the English dub, which I highly doubt.
No.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna be subs here.
Yeah, the only anime dub that I've liked so far has been Cowboy Bebop. So,
but their mouths don't match.
Yeah, they do. They did a pretty good job with that one, I think.
What do you mean they did a good job?
Like, you don't really notice that it doesn't sync up.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't not sync up.
It's just they did a good job with it.
But that's that's not how that works. When you're doing a dub, you're not trying to match the lips. You're trying to
I think
that you are. No,
accurately.
like that's a part of the localization process.
That's what they have the English voice actors do. Yeah.
It's not like a documentary where they just like do the English dialogue over like characters speaking. In anime, they make an effort to sync it up so that their mouths are moving when sound's actually coming out.
And usually they don't do a very good job, but with this one they did.
Older anime, definitely, that was less considered.
It's definitely more important to them that they get the proper meaning across, the not transliteration, the like actual translation of what's being said. Like that's way more important in this than like awkwardly trying to shoehorn language so that it fits within the brief window that the character is talking and stuff. And even then, like, I mean, I hope that it's not literally just like a puppet awkwardly opening and closing its mouth. Like they're forming syllables and stuff in a different language that aren't going to match up with the syllables in English.
Well,
Or at
yeah,
least-
but
I mean,
they're
I don't know. Maybe it's really shitty animation, and they're not putting any more effort other than opening and closing a mouth.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm saying that I usually don't like dubs. I'm much more of a sub guy. It's just that this one worked.
Ironically, last one, Castlevania, only has a dub that I'm aware of, at least. A pro fantasy series that gets right to the point. Turns into the best parts of Game of Thrones by episode 5, which is the first episode of season 2. The only cons, a lot of likable characters, and they are not doing great at any time. Watch everything. It's on Netflix, super bingeable. I think there are only maybe 20 episodes or so far across the 3 seasons. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is it really a dub if it's just in English?
Yeah, I think
animated.
Was this made in English though? I think.
I think it is.
I believe this was made. This was made in English. It was always intended to be released in English.
There you go. So then,
Yeah,
that's not a dub.
but it is
That's
an
just-
anime.
It is an anime, or is it? I don't know.
No,
Is it made in Japan?
we have to watch this with a Japanese dub with subtitles underneath it.
That's the only way to get a true anime experience. Castlevania was definitely the one that I was leaning towards. If JoJo's was not working out, I will say.
Honestly, you
Of all the
can.
rest of these.
Let's see. You can give like 2, maybe 3 episodes of JoJo's Part 5 a try, and if it's just not clicking for you at all, then at that point, I don't think it ever will. It definitely ramps up, but it's always more of the same.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Berserk, I was gonna rule out. Champloo, no HDs, iffy already.
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist was an option. I don't really care that Vic Magonia was in it because.
Especially if you're
I don't know,
listening to
man.
it subbed. Yeah, or watching it subbed. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's not even in it.
Yeah.
I can bypass him. And then Dorohedoro. I don't know that that's necessarily my cup of tea. And if it was, I definitely would wait until it's on Netflix. If
Right.
I was gonna watch it.
Yeah. 25 days now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah, looks like Castlevania or JoJo's for me.
I think I'm like gonna go with hard no on Berserk, a fairly hard no on JoJo's. Not super interested in Dorohedoro. I'm also not really interested in Full Metal Alchemist, but if it is like kind of just like a solid show, like I might consider it. I think I'm gonna start out with Samurai Champloo, and if I just don't really click with it, I might check out Castlevania or Full Metal.
There you go.
I probably, well, I don't know, this is a quarantine viewing, and like, I don't know, this is stuff we're binging through anyway because we have time. I should mention that Full Metal is like, I think about 60 episodes or so.
Oh shit!
Yeah. But like, that's the whole thing. Like, that is a complete series. You can watch that start to finish, and then it's done. I think, yeah, the same is true for Samurai Champloo. I think that might be 20 episodes. I forget if it's 20 or 12.
I just googled it. It's 27, I think,
Okay.
or maybe no 24. 24, I think.
And then JoJo's Part 5, about 24 episodes. Dorohedoro, even though you ruled that out, only about 12. Yeah. That is. Those are? Whatever. The anime recommendations. May 3rd, 2020.
For those of you listening along, do it.
So what's the plan with this? Are we gonna give periodic updates like every week or every day throughout the quarantine cast? Is there a day that we want to try to get this done by?
No.
Check them out when you
Just
can.
like a way to check them out. Yeah.
I mean, I'm familiar enough with all of these. I think that I could hold a conversation like regardless of where you are in the story. So it's like if you come to the table one day and it's like, yeah, I watched the first 5 episodes of not Dorohedoro.
I was going to say Dorohedoro, but you fucking heathens won't watch it.
Watch the first 5 episodes of Castlevania, got some thoughts, I can definitely engage.
Yeah. Also, like, Andrew, it doesn't sound like you're watching much of anything right now, so I don't think it's fair to put a time limit on it when you might just not have much time for that sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
Maybe it'll be a year.
Yeah. I just didn't know if we want to try to, like, come back in a month like what we used to do with mandatory viewing.
I was definitely planning on checking this out well before a month was over. Like,
yeah.
And
Okay.
I imagine you might not have, like, because, like I said, you don't really have as much time for watching stuff and everything, so...
Yeah, it's kind
So I
of
think
hard
it's fair to
sometimes.
just like let it play.
Let it play.
Let it play.
Oh, wait.
That scared the shit out of me.
Hopefully it will scare the listeners as well.
All right.
If the talk of anime hadn't already.
So, Lucas, I gotta say, are you like absolutely giddy that we're doing this, or are you like more nervous because we're checking out something that you like and you're afraid of what we might say?
I think, what emotions am I feeling right now? Relief might be the best word, because it's like, hey, I've been trying to get more people to watch anime for a while now, and like, okay, cool, I can guide you into it with this, and not you just happened upon some bullshit bad exploitative series that like confirmed every bad suspicion you have about the medium and makes you never want to check it out again. I can give you a curated list. I know that on Blast, all of these series are at least decent, and I don't know, I trust you two specifically enough as media consumers that at the very least you're going to watch it and come away with, okay, maybe this isn't for me, but I can see the appeal now.
Yeah, but that's what you thought about Redline.
Truthfully, Redline might have been more, well, I don't know. I really liked Redline and wanted to have more people I could talk about it with.
Oh, quick question that Time.gov reminded me of.
Yeah.
And you guys all both need to agree to answer within 2 seconds so that I know that you didn't Google it. Just, even and if you don't know it, say I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Or how about 4 seconds?
Okay.
If you don't know it, say I don't know, or throw out a guess. Doesn't matter. Just so I know you didn't Google it, because I think it's a fun trick question. How many time zones are there in the world?
I want to say like 14, but that is just me spitballing.
I
Said
think
14, Lucas.
I think
Go,
like
go.
12
Now.
or 24.
It's 24. Yeah.
Okay.
24. Okay.
Of course it's 24, right? Like, isn't that a really good brain teaser? Like,
Yeah.
It kind of has to be 24. Like, there's no other answer really. I'm like,
Yeah. The only reason I hesitated and said 12 is because I know the international dateline is a thing, and I'm not really sure how that affected it, but okay.
No, the international dateline's on the 24th hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, the minute I heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, duh, it kind of has to be that. And yeah, I think I was like, oh, I don't know, 20? Making a guess. I'm like, well, the U.S. is like this big, this far around. Like, there's 4 in the U.S., so I don't know, 20 or so.
Have you guys heard
Like, yeah, wait, duh. So, there you go.
I kind of wanted to be like, okay, you promised not to Google it, right? Like, yeah, Ryan, of course. Okay, how many time zones are there?
Time zones.
Yeah, just furiously typing.
Like HQ trivia.
Yeah.
Have you guys
Yeah.
heard of like internet time?
No.
No.
All right, I've only heard of this tangentially, and I'm finally on the page about it. This is actually on Time and Date. New time unit, the beat, and the symbol is just represented by a period. Instead of dividing the virtual and real day into 24 hours and 60 minutes per hour, the internet time system divides the day into 1,000 beats, Each beat is 1 minute and 26.4 seconds.
Oh, that's stupid.
Right?
That seems
just
like so much work.
Did they just want something based on a factor of 10 or what?
I think so. I'm trying to go metric on time.
But time is not, an arbitrary system of measurement the same way that like distance is.
Well,
I mean, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course, like it's still like made up in the same way that all things are made up, but it's based on like how long it takes for the Earth to travel around the sun.
A day isn't arbitrary, but 24 hours is absolutely arbitrary.
How we?
I mean, it is.
I mean, yeah. How we break up one rotation, one rotation or one lap around the sun is. Yeah. That's the arbitrary part.
Yeah, 1 day and 1 year, definitely not arbitrary, but everything else is completely arbitrary. So, I mean, yeah, you can do it.
I thought there was something else. I thought that there was a reason. I mean, because every society has come up with the same length of a day, and the same how long a year is. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, there are points in time.
Everybody that uses math, like the.
Well, they didn't measure time until when? Like the 1700s, honestly? Like, they definitely didn't measure it in the same... No, they really didn't. Like, they wouldn't say, oh, we're going to meet at this place at 8 o'clock. Like, it wasn't used the same way until pretty modern.
I mean,
by then, like, the British Empire or something could have spread their way of keeping track of time to everywhere.
I think our time units are still technically a part of the Gregorian calendar. Like the division of hours, day, minutes, that's all by the Gregorian system.
I don't think Gregorian is a system for time. Isn't it just like when they decided year zero was? Because people disagree on that, obviously, based on their beliefs and their culture. But I'm pretty sure time is more of a math thing.
I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of, at least.
Yeah. I definitely know that it was an arbitrary hegemony. Like, there's no math to having 60 minutes in an hour and 24 hours in a day. That's just someone did that. So, IDK, man.
Yeah.
365 days in a year.
There's 104 days in summer vacation. School comes around
Phineas and
just to
Ferb.
end it.
Oh.
And the annual problem for our generation is finding a good way to spend it.
Like maybe
building a rocket or fighting a mummy or climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
Discovering something that doesn't exist.
Hey!
A monkey a shower.
Surfing tidal waves, creating nanobots, or looking in Frankenstein's brain. Come on, do the part. It's over here. Finding a dodo bird, painting a continent, or driving her sister insane. Phineas. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yep.
As you can see, there's a whole lot of stuff to do before school starts this fall. Come on, Perry. So stick with us, cause Phineas and Ferb are gonna do it all.
Ryan,
so stick with us, cause Phineas and Ferb are gonna do it all.
Ryan, if Bowling for Soup ever needs a new frontman, you got this.
Mom, Phineas and Ferb are making a title sequence.
Phineas and Ferb was the shit.
That was a good show.
How long? Well, no, it'll probably be when we're about 4 months into quarantine. There's definitely going to be a quarantine parody of that song.
Oh, there already has been.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I saw
it was also it was a great show, but I feel like, I mean, at least I did. I feel like most people exactly our age fell off of it before it ended.
We were just 2 years too old for it.
Do yourselves a favor and watch the series finale because, damn.
No, I did watch it like 5 years later.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's got some fucking feels in that shit.
I was home one day on like Christmas break or something, and my sister, who is older than me but did watch it all the way through.
Oh, wow.
Because like we would, like when I was a kid, like we would watch it together. It was like the one show that we both liked. But then, she was like 16. Like she had seen it. And she's like, Andrew, the finale is on. Like, you gotta see this. Like, you gotta see how it ends. I'm like, oh, okay. Whoa.
Yeah.
And that was weird.
Yeah, they went for it, man. There's a YouTube video that's like your favorite cartoons like series finales, and they show like a 5-minute summary basically of how the shows ended, because I feel like as a kid you never really, I don't know, you didn't really care that much about the order of the episodes, so therefore like you might not have even recognized the end of the series sort of thing, like because there's a repeat, so they're just going to be right back in a couple hours to a different point in their story, so it wasn't as big of a deal. Or like, yeah, as a kid you just didn't really watch them as they came out, so you didn't really know when the series finale was and you just missed it, or you grew out of it before it hit the series finale. And yeah, a lot of those went pretty hard. Codename Kids Next Door, like,
yep.
I think number 1 went to work on the moon or something and left all the other kids behind. Like,
and they grow into adults and shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Oh.
There's a lot of them. It's crazy. We should do the wind down, though.
Oh my god, yeah.
I thought that was the wind down.
Well, no, we gotta thank the Patreons and tell them where to find us, all that stuff.
Thank you again for checking out this crazy episode 95 of Voluntary Viewing. Recorded on...
Oh, it's your guys' birth year episode.
Yeah!
Hey! Old people.
Recorded on May 3rd, 2020. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe for more, like it, leave a comment, leave a rating, yada, yada, yada. You can email us your questions or partnership opportunities at voluntaryviewing@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter to stay up to date with the podcast at V2_podcast. If you are financially able, please support us on Patreon. Got a lot of great tiers, a lot of great rewards, and you can join the terrific likes of Sensual Richard Nixon, Tiffany Cole, and Sucky Badger. I am Lucas the Writer. You can follow me on Twitter because I'm a freelance writer at Lucas the Writer, and you can see all my hot takes, like me saying that accordion-style Post-its are better than flipbook-style Post-its.
But everyone knows that, Lucas. That's not a hot take.
That is absolutely not necessarily true.
That's why it's a hot take.
I agree with you, Lucas. Accordion style, best style.
Accordion is best for playing with.
Yeah.
But I would say if I just needed something to write with, I would definitely go with flipbook style. Because sometimes I write upside down on accordion style, and then I have to awkwardly put the note where the sticky part is on the bottom and not on the top, and it's frustrating.
Why does that matter?
That absolutely does matter sometimes. Sometimes you need to stick a sticky note to your computer monitor. So then you end up wasting a sticky note because you can't have it covering part of the screen. Telling you.
I think
if you're looking for writing, it's got to be flipbook. If you're looking for fun, I will agree. Accordion style as like a fidget type device.
I think you're living your life too fast and loose that you can't take a moment to check which way a Post-it is going. And that can happen on like regular Post-its too.
Hold on. Check. No, that could not happen on a flipbook, first of all, because it's very obvious. There's a little bit of a flare to the end that does not have any adhesive on it. So the adhesive part is all very nice and tight, so you know, okay, start from the top there. And like check, I mean, it's a Post-it. It's for like jotting notes very quickly because you're probably on a phone call with someone and you only have one hand and you just have to do it while they're talking. Like, no, there's no checking. That's not fast and loose. That's just needing to get information written down.
A lot of the time, I don't even pull a Post-it off of the pad. Like, I put it on there, then there's my note, and I don't need another one. When I'm done with that, pull it off, check to make sure it's facing the right way, even though it doesn't really matter because I don't pull it off, then write down another note.
Well, that's why I'm saying the freelance writer's gig must be pretty cushy if you only need one note at a time.
Well,
you gotta juggle those plates, man. Gotta have a lot of notes.
You know what? Post-its aren't a work thing for me most of the time. Usually they're just like keeping track of stuff in my personal life. Got a dedicated notebook and dedicated notes Google Doc for that shit.
For work?
Yeah. Keeping track of my stuff digitally.
Why isn't your personal life then on the the dedicated notebook and the dedicated Google Docs?
Because I want to keep it grounded, Ryan. I don't need to jam computers into every facet of my daily life. Some of it can stay analog and arguably be done better that way. I like having a grocery list on a
Post-it. Why
Post-it.
isn't your professional life then done that way, analog?
Because I gotta get with the times, man. I gotta stay competitive.
You could argue that with your personal life, you need to get with the times and stay competitive. One could argue.
I mean, you measure success and happiness in your personal life on your own personal scale. You don't have to conform to that larger industrial standard, like industry standard, like you have to do with business.
Now, you know what they say? Comparison is the birth of joy.
I was going to title this episode Anime Recommendations, but now I think it has to be accordion versus flipbook Post-its.
Or comparison is the birth of joy.
That's up there too. And sorrow.
Well, it's the real proverb is comparison is the death of joy. So I flipped it because I thought it was funny that you were saying, oh, I don't need to compare myself in my personal life. And I was like, no, I disagree. Comparison is the birth of joy. All right, I'm stopping.
We gotta stop.
I dropped my fidget spinner.